Extra Dimensional Crisis is here, and there are some crazy cards in this set. I'm super excited to go over it, let you guys know what I'm thinking on the set overall, and what decks we should be building for the meta going forward. If you guys want to stay up to date on the ranked meta and see some deck list that I'm coming up with out of this set, make sure you guys subscribe. I'll be posting some later today. Let's get into the set review. This is why I get some massive buffs in this set. Number one, we have this Dartrix Skill Dive. So now we have a Skill Dive Rowlet, a Skill Dive Dartrix, which is awesome. It's going to do 20 damage on this Dartrix instead of Rowlet's 10. It just enables you to go from, even if you miss rare candy, you are able to use Dartrix to put 20 damage anywhere. 20 damage anywhere is just really good in certain circumstances as well. Lets you set up something on the bench. But not only does Decidui get that, Decidui also gets Pheromosa. Pheromosa, now we can do jump blues 20 to one of the opponent's bench. We don't have to mess around with Lurantis. I never thought Lurantis was very good. It still did well at tournaments somehow. When again, I never really thought the card was all that great. But we have Pheromosa as a basic now, so we don't have to go looking for a stage 1. We can put 20 damage somewhere and then get that ready for the Decidui. Also, Decidui gets built-in Oricorio protection, you could call it. You know, the Scourge of the meta, Oricorio. We now have a way to deal with that for Decidui. You just run 2 Decidui EX and 1 Decidui, and this Sniping Arrow is going to be able to deal with Oricorios fairly well, right? It's going to do 70 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is great. I think this is an auto-include in a Decidui decks. You're going to need a way to deal with Oricorio. And it's also not a bad attack just in general, right? 70 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's just a slightly less powerful skill dive on a 1-point Pokemon. Super cool. Now, we have probably the biggest EX to come out of this set, and that is Buzzwole EX. Punch for 30, Big Beat 120. Now, I guess I do have to explain this because I forget sometimes that people have not seen these effects all that much, but we have Big Beat. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Big Beat. If you are able to move the Buzzwole to the bench and get it back into the active spot, it can use Big Beat again. So whether that's through Stack Attacka or you retweet your Buzzwole into a fossil and discard it, which you will not be doing because that is a horrible idea, mid, you'll be able to use Big Beat again. And when I saw Buzzwole, I said 120 damage on a basic Pokemon doesn't feel like enough. Doesn't feel like enough for the big EX from this set to only be able to do 120. And I was putting it on people's lives in Discord. Literally, I was tagging people by name and saying, I'm putting it on your life. Ultra Beasts are getting a tool card that will buff their damage. 100%. They have to. And it's too big to not talk about early, so we're going to go talk about it. Because it's relevant to all of the Ultra Beasts we're going to talk about. We have Beastite. Attacks used by the Ultra Beast this card is attached to do plus 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon for each point you have gotten. So, in the beginning of the game, Beastite is going to do nothing. But in the late game, your Beastite can be doing plus 10, plus 20 damage. I think that's very good. I can't imagine not including it. Maybe deck space is too tight for Buzzwole and we don't end up wanting it. And that plus 20 isn't enough, right? Because you'll be doing 140 with the red. You can do 160. But that's where it'll cap out. We'll have to see. But I think Beastite is very good. We needed some extra way to buff Buzzwole's damage. I think I would have preferred to see something early game. Because my only concern with Buzzwole is when you're facing these stage 2 decks. You're gonna need quite a bit, right? Like, just imagine as Buzzwole going into Charizard. No matter what you have, you're never gonna be able to buff yourself out of damage range. It's just taking a second for this to load. You're never gonna be able to buff yourself out of damage range of just Charizard one-shotting all of your Buzzwoles, right? You're only gonna, with a Leaf Cape, you can get up to 170. And in order to knock it out, you would have had to set up Buzzwole immediately, which isn't really possible to do against Charizard. You know, they're gonna get a Charizard before you get a Buzzwole set up, and their Charizard is gonna be knocking out your Buzzwoles left and right, and you'll have no way to one-shot it. You kind of just gotta hope that they don't have the Lily after a couple Pheromosa attacks, which is really tough to do. Maybe. We'll get to that. Now, the only fire type card we have is Blissflon. Beat Bunk, 130. This Pokemon also does 70 damage to itself. So we'll be left with 30 HP after he attacks. He's kind of a nuke. I don't think you're going to want to use him in the early game. The only value I think this guy could maybe have is sneaking into existing fire decks that have the space to fit Blissflon and Lucamine. But that is a really, I mean, that's a big commitment, right? It's like Turtonator, but you can't ever use him early on in the game. You have to wait for one of your Pokemon to get knocked out before Blissflon can do anything. So Blissflon is kind of an for me at the moment. It is a really strong attack, though, that you can power up in just one turn with Lucamine. You know, if something gets knocked out, you know you have a one prizer that can do 130 right after. It is a pretty ridiculous attack, to be honest. Water types, unfortunately, we don't have anything really worth talking about here. There's the Sharpedo Crunch Flip going. It's not good. Don't worry about it. Luxray also not very good. As long as this Pokemon is in your active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon do 20 less damage. Okay, cool. So Luxray has effectively 150 HP to knock out in one hit. I'm not really the biggest fan. It's 3 energy for 90. You can Volcaner to it, I guess. You know, it does have that synergy there. But I don't see Luxray as being all that great. Just that little extra HP. You know, you'd probably rather just be running a Magnezone line. You know, it's going to have effectively 10 less HP if your opponent's going for a one-shot. But the Magnezone's going to power itself up, and you don't have to worry about, like, Volcaners and all of that. So, all right, we're back with Tapu Koko, and it gets a little bit more interesting with the Lightning Tool card in this set, which we'll go take a look at right now before we talk about Tapu Koko, actually. Electrical Cord. So this is a crazy tool card. If the Lightning Pokemon you have in the active spot is knocked out by damage, you choose 2 of your bench Pokemon, and you take a Lightning Energy from that Pokemon and move it to one of those bench Pokemon. It's like EXP Share if you've played the real card game, but with a electric, you know, focus. It can only be used for electric Pokemon. And it's good. Right? It's just a way to keep Lightning Energy into play, which I think is really, really cool. I don't think that Oricorio will really need to take advantage of this. I mean, it could. Oricorio Greninja, but honestly, Oricorio Greninja, keeping your energy in play was never as much of a problem as you know, just making sure Oricorio was actually, like, walling stuff was. That kind of falls apart if your opponent has an answer to Oricorio, whether or not you have Electrical Cord. There are probably some other Lightning Pokemon we can be looking at that will take advantage of Electrical Cord a lot more. And I like it, because Electric Pokemon, Lightning Pokemon, are all sort of these, hey, we're not going to be swinging for too much damage, but we're going to do it with a really low energy cost. And it makes me think about Tapu Koko a little bit differently, because Plasma Hurricane, you're going to be able to attach that Lightning Energy straight from the Energy Zone. It's going to have 3 Lightning on it very, very quickly. And now if it gets knocked out, you'll be able to move that Lightning back to something on the bench and have another attacker ready to go. So it makes me think about Tapu Koko just a little bit differently. It is still, you know, a basic 2-point Pokemon, not a lot of HP. So your opponent's going to be pretty close to winning the game as soon as they get through. Excuse me, it's 5 in the morning. As soon as they get through this Tapu Koko, they are going to be very, very close to winning the game. But we'll have to see how it plays out. If that quick 90 damage is enough, and then with it being able to power up something else on the bench pretty easily with Electrical Cord, we'll have to see if that's going to be enough for a fast Lightning deck to be something that can have a chance in the meta. It might just be that the speed of Tapu Koko is enough. Next up, we have the Zirkat Tree. I don't love him. It's 3 energy, and your opponent's active Pokemon is confused. Confusion is just the worst special condition, I think, at this point. It's just worse sleep. Your opponent's able to retreat out of it. There's no downside for them, you know, attempting the attack. They don't damage themselves. I don't think Zirkat Tree is all that great. And then Zir Aura. At the end of your first turn, take a Lightning Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to this Pokemon. It's like, it's fine. I mean, it's only doing 50 damage for 2. Thunderclap Flash would be cooler if the effect read any other way. Like, if it was just at the end of the first turn, it was in play, it would attach a lightning energy from your energy zone, but it only being for the first turn is really sketch. It's going to be hard to find your Zir Aura on that first turn, and then just to get that 1 energy. I mean, if you do, it's going to constantly be there on the bench as like a secondary attacker, but it only doing 50 is just not, it's not a lot of damage. It's a really, really low amount of damage. I feel like if you've got the space, you'd probably rather just throw an Oricorio in. Not a lot to talk about with these psychic Pokemon. There's the Shenotic. Illuminate. Once during your turn, you may put a random Pokemon from your deck into your hand. Cool. It's going to be hard for anything to really find the space for this, right? Because you're then running a 2/2 line of the Shenotic, most likely, just to get it in play. And then once you do, it's going to start finding other Shenotics. You know, you're not always going to get the Pokemon you need. Interesting card, but it requires a lot of deck space to really function. Now we have some really cool fighting Pokemon to talk about. Number 1, this Claydol with Heal Block. Pokemon, both yours and your opponent, can't be healed. This is a crazy, crazy stage 1. This feels kind of nuts to me. Now, what I was just talking about with Buzzwole is it's hard because Pheromosa is only doing 20, and then it's doing 20 to the bench. That's a potion away from being healed. That's I got into my stage 2. Here, I'm using a Lily now, and all that damage you just did with Pheromosa over 3 turns is gone. For decks that can manage to fit it in, like imagine you're just playing 2 Pheromosa, 2 Buzzwole. That's only 4 Pokemon. You could then run Claydol and prevent your opponent's Pokemon from being healed. You'll probably need something to do with Oricorio still, but for stage 2s, like Darkrai Tina, you're going to shut down their potions. I kind of feel like this card is nuts. Heal has completely changed a lot of decks and a lot of how the game has been played. You know, we used to only have potion since since Genetic Apex. Like, healing wasn't all that big, but now we have Irida and we have Pokemon Center Lady and Lily and Shaman, and there's a lot of healing in the game now, and there hasn't really been an answer to it. It's just kind of been something you've had to deal with, and it exists as this thing that, like, I always know that my opponent, if I'm doing something with low damage, they can probably heal out of it. Having the option to tech your deck out and get this Claydol into the deck, even if it's just a 1/1 line, like, it might be worth it because this ability is that strong for some decks. Being able to prevent that healing is crazy. I'm really hopeful for this card that it can do something. I'm going to want to test it out in a lot of different decks because I really like this ability is just insane. And it's also something that when you're running it, you can also then consider in your deck list, well, okay, well, if I'm running the Claydol, I can just not run or not go as heavy on my own heal cards. You can then do some cool plays where you're able to heal your Pokemon and then evolve into the Claydol and then block your opponent from using any heals. I really, really like this card. I think it's super, super cool. So I'm excited on Claydol. Hopefully he'll do some big things. Now we have Lykan Rock. It's a stage 1 with 150 HP, which is pretty crazy. Not a common number to see. Usually stage 1s are, 140, whatever. 150 just seems high to me. And has Lycan Fang. 3 fighting energy, 130 damage. Discard a fighting energy from this Pokemon. It's cool. It's cool. Lykan Rock, you might be able to run a Lycan Rock only deck now. I mean, you have the Rockruff that searches for Lycan Rocks, which is super sick. Getting up to 3 energy on a stage 1 has always been a little tricky. Because ideally, you evolve into stage 1. You want to be attacking with the stage 1 like as soon as possible. It's always been a little bit tricky. You really like those 2 energy costs. 3 energy costs might be a bit too much, but it is a really strong attack. 130 with a fighting type is no joke, especially when you can buff that with Lucario. You can have this stage 1 EX that can get up to 150, 170 damage. You know, Lykan Rock Lucario could be a thing. Could end of days for Rampardos? No, probably not. Rampardos being able to attack for 1 energy is so ridiculously strong. But very cool card. Now, this Pimeian. Dude, this Pimeian is literally just based off of one of my favorite meme decks that have ever existed, which was Pimeian, with this same artwork. And he has this Let's Throw attack. If Pimeian is on your bench, this attack does 40 more damage. Pimeian, he'll be doing 80 damage with a second Pimeian on your bench. You could buff that with Lucario. I don't think it's going to be great, but I'm just excited to see this Pimeian back in the meta. I would have loved it if it said this attack does 40 more damage for each of your Pimeian on the bench. Then we would really have something to talk about. Or even if it just did 30 for each Pimeian on your bench, and you could get it up to 160 if you managed to find all of your Pimeian and all of your Pokemon in play were just Pimeian. It would be so sick. But Pimeian is just okay. Just okay. He'll be doing 80 damage for 2 if you have another Pimeian, which, you know, is fine for a stage 1. We have a new Palisand, which I guess you got to consider Acerola with this card as well. But it's a 4 energy cost for 90 during your opponent's next turn. Defending Pokemon can't retreat. It's just another corner attack, but done in a different way. More energy cost, more damage. Has that Acerola, so Palisand can take a hit, and then Acerola can send some of that damage back over to your opponent's active Pokemon. Still don't think it's all that great, so we'll skip over him. Alolan Persian. Flip a coin if heads your opponent's Pokemon is paralyzed. It's nothing. Crocodile has a really crazy attack effect. It does 90 for 3 energy. Flip 3 coins. For each heads, a card is chosen at random from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. So you have the ability to just constantly, every turn, take away your opponent's hand, which is interesting. Again, it's 90 for 3 on a stage 2. You got to get 3 energy attached to this guy. You got to evolve up into the Crocodile. And by then, your opponent might have already set up everything they needed to. And it doesn't matter. I'm just realizing right now, I skipped over Cartana. Cartana, 40 for 1. It's a Grass-type Farfetch. Cool card. Might be able to make the cut into the Buzzwole Pheromosa decks. Other than that, not really sure where else you would want to play him. I mean, maybe you just... It's Farfetch with maybe a worse weakness, right? Because you got to think about Charmanders. As long as Charizard's still around, Charmanders will be able to punish the Cartana more than it can punish a Farfetch'd. So you'll just kind of have to see where the meta is, but it might just be a Buzzwole-specific card. All right, Nihilego. Your opponent's active Pokemon takes plus 10 damage from being poisoned. We have New Wave, 2 energy. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. With 2 Nihilego, you could buff this New Wave to doing 50, 70 every turn if your opponent doesn't retreat. That's pretty cool for 2 energy. The ability is really the more important part. Something that can sit on the bench and buff poison damage is really, really cool. And a combo with the Nihilego, we have Naganado, right? Electro House, 40 for 1. Opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. With the Nihilego, this damage is going to stack continually, and you'll be doing quite a bit of damage for 1 energy. I'm just now realizing that these cards, I'm sure it must have been like this on Celestial Guardians, I would think, but is this not just like how the Sun and Moon cards came, the way this is, like the base of it? I never noticed that. That's really cool. I'm pretty sure this is how Sun and Moon cards were. Anyways, it being able to dish out, you know, like, what is it? It'd be doing, you know, you get 10 from poison, double Nihilego, it'd be 70. 90 coming back into your turn if your opponent didn't retreat. 90 for 1 energy is pretty good. This Naganado can be really, really oppressive, like right in the beginning of the game. You can, if you are able to find your basics and evolve it in the Naganado and just have a couple of Nihilegos down, like this will start doing some really good damage right off at the start of the game. Very, very cool. Nihilego, you also got to consider, you know, we have the Poison Barb. We have the Poison Barb tool in the format. So you don't even need really a way to poison your opponent's Pokemon. You could just run Poison Barb plus Nihilego package, and it's going to be a guaranteed, like, massive, massive damage buff. So now I actually do see reasons to play Poison Barb over Rocky Helmet. It is if you can fit the Nihilego in as well. And now your opponent's going to be taking so much damage after attacking into your Pokemon because of it. I think it's really cool. Now we have Guzzlord. A lot of people scared of the Guzzlord. Don't worry, guys. We'll be able to deal with the Guzzlord. We'll find a way. We'll get through this together. Grindcore. Well, number one, 170 HP basic. It's huge. This card is massive. Grindcore, 30 damage. Flip a coin until you get tails. For each head, this card, a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. This card is probably going to make me put a hole like right here over the course of this next meta. Hopefully it does actually end up being that scary. Its Tyrannical Hold does 120 damage for 4 energy. This is also something you have to consider with the Lucamine. The Lucamine is going to allow you to accelerate 2 energy to this Guzzlord if something gets knocked out. So you'll be able to power up a Guzzlord. Like, you can have Guzzlord on the bench with just 1 energy on it, waiting, like lying in wait, waiting for your opponent to take a point, and then you're able to use Lucamine, attach to, turn attachment, 170 HP basic, doing 120 damage every single turn. It seems a little ridiculous. I'm hoping that it's not all that great, because it doesn't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of, you know, what do you want to say, like, interesting play around Guzzlord. I mean, you think about the dark package for Ultra Beast, and it's sort of cool. It's sort of cool. You'll have the Guzzlord. You can use the Naganado plus a Nihilgo and maybe some poison barbs, and you'll be able to buff the damage that this Guzzlord can potentially do. Like, with Nihilgos and poison barb, Tyrannical Hold goes from being 120 swing to being, what, 150 swing, 180 if they don't retreat. I think that sounds more interesting than just using, like, Guzzlord, 18 trainers, grindcore, and then once that Guzzlord finally gets knocked out, you Lucamine into the second one and just say, hey, can you deal with 170 HP basic in a couple turns? If not, I win the game. So I'm excited for the dark package using Nihilgo, poison, plus Naganado, plus Guzzlord. That sounds pretty fun to me. I like that. But it is a scary card nonetheless. That first attack has a really scary attack effect that sounds terrible to play against. Now, Alolan Diglett, I saw it. I already knew what was coming with Alolan Dugtrio. It's a coin flip attack. What is with Dina, bro? And these Dugtrio, Wugtrio, Schmugtrios, man. They're gonna have to invent a Schmugtrio. What are we gonna get next? Like, we're gonna get a Generation 10 Smugtrio, and he's gonna be a Dark type, and he's gonna have a stupid smile on his face, just so they can print more dumb coin flip attacks, dude. Triple Headbutt, 60 damage for each coin flip. You flip 3 coins, 60. I don't even want to talk. It's not worth my time, bro. It's not worth my time. I hate you. I hate you, Dugtrio, Wugtrios. So useless. All right, we have an Aggron card. 2 things. Number 1, the Aggron artwork sucks. He does not. This is not a cool Aggron, bro. This is a lame Aggron. And Aggron is one of the coolest Pokemon, like, ever, man. Aggron is just sick, and he's so underrated, and no one talks about Aggron. And I'm going to partially blame that because there's never been a single Pokemon card of Aggron that has been good. Nowhere. Not in Pokemon Pocket. Not in the real TCG. Has there ever been an Aggron that has done a single thing? And this one is no different. So, ugly artwork. And it has a Giga Impact 150 during your next turn. This Pokemon can't attack. This reminds me a lot of just like Rhyperior. Or, what was that new? Tyranitar. Right? It's a big stage 2. 1-point Pokemon that can do a lot of damage. But it's going to be hard to set up. And once you do get it set up, like, it's just not, it's not going to be anything. It's not going to be anything. So we have a Ferrothorn with a very typical Ferrothorn ability. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged, do 20 damage to the attacking Pokemon. You guys have seen it, Druddigon. But it's on a stage 1, Steel type only. And it's going to do 70 damage for 3. Why would you not just run Druddigon? I guess if you're a Steel type, you now have a wall. I mean, hey, wait. Maybe Ferrothorn Aggron. Evolve into the Ferrothorn. Leave him in the active spot. Aggron, he's going to be able to knock out anything with Giga Impact. Dude, it's sick, I'm telling you. No. Stack Attacka. 40 damage during your next turn. Opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 20 damage less from attacks. Like Steel. I mean, is Steel type really throwing this Stack Attack in there? He'll have effectively 130 HP. I mean, he'll be a big basic. He will in fact be a big basic, but I'm not high on Stack Attacka. Not at all. Stoutland, Guard Dog Visage, As long as Pokemon is in your active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon cost 1 colorless more. You know, it's interesting. Not really, but it's a card. I love Stalland, though, man. I love Stalland. I swear, every time I play Gen 5 again, like, Stalland always makes the team. Always. I can't help it, bro. He's so... You get him instantly. He gets to be with you for your entire Pokemon journey. And he's just sick, dude. He's sick. He's strong. He's a strong Pokemon. At least for, you know, main game Pokemon. He's a strong guy. I like Stalland. I wish his card was a little bit better. Beware. I don't know what the point of this was. Superpowered Hug, flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out. 25% chance, man. Beware only deck. I cannot wait to get boomed by this on the ladder. So excited. So I cannot wait to be outskilled in the Pokemon TCG pocket ranked ladder. I cannot wait to be outskilled. Orangaroo, 70 damage hammer in. It's a crazy, crazy thing to reprint this guy. Like, I'm almost positive. Orangaroo card Pokemon. Might help if I spell anything right. Yeah, it is crazy to reprint this guy. Resource Management Orangaroo. Card so powerful. I think it's banned. I think they banned it from expanded format in the real TCG. Either way, dude, I hate... This guy was ridiculous. Gave birth to so many control decks. It's crazy to put him into Pokemon Pocket with this. Like, dude, I mean, this guy would lock you out of games, man. I mean, he would just assist locking you out of games. He was a nightmare. A nightmare. And here he is. I'm going to do 70 damage for 3 colorless. You're not so scary now, are you? Loser. All right, Sovali. Type Nolan Silvali. Sovali is like whatever. It's 20 damage for 1. Flip a coin if heads. Could do 40. Ooh. And then Silvali, I am so sad. Heard here, we're not looking at you now. I'm so sad that, like, this is an EX. This is an EX. Fabio Doug Trio. And not Silvali. Like, why? Silvali is so sick. And he's just, like, why? Why do we do this? Brave Buddies, 50 damage. If you played a supporter, it's gonna do 100 damage total. So you're probably, you know, you have pretty good reason to use a supporter every single turn anyways. It's a stage 1 though, colorless, so it can fit into anything. But like a deck just off Silvali, there's no way. You're only doing 100. I mean, I guess you could maybe Silvali Ilima, but then as soon as your opponent's like able to start knocking these things out in one hit, that goes out the window, right? Silvali just doesn't have enough HP. A Silvali EX with this attack plus Ilima, oh my gosh, it could have been so cool. I don't know. I don't even know if it would have been good. Maybe it could have been like 80 plus 50 more. Maybe that's too much. That'd have to be for 3. I don't know. But like this being on, it's just, its HP is too low, I think, to really take advantage of any of the like normal type things. Again, maybe as like a tech card, maybe you put a Savali line into something, but it's tough, man. It's a lot of deck spaces to get this Savali in here as just a, you know, 2 energy, 100 damage. A lot of other types are going to have just a card they'd rather have, another Pokemon they'd rather have than Savali. So I'm a little bit sad about Sovali. I wish he was better. I wish he was just blatantly the best card in the game, because I love Sovali. I love Sovali so much. Always have. Celesteela. So this is another thing for all of our Ultra Beast decks. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Ultra Beast with one of your bench Ultra Beast. I think this is just an auto-include into any Ultra Beast deck, most likely. You're going to be able to... you're not going to have to run Leaf. You're not going to have to run X-Speed. You just run the Celesteela, which you can also search out with a Pokeball. And it's going to allow you to move whatever Ultra Beast you want into the active spot. Gets around that some of these Ultra Beasts have a pretty high retreat cost. And it's honestly the reason why I was ignoring most of them. Like Naganado has a 2 retreat cost. Kind of crazy for a 1 energy attacker to have a 2 retreat cost. But you're probably going to be playing the Celesteela to just move things around anyways. This is what is going to allow you to attack with Buzzwole EX 2 times in a row with that big beat attack. You will be able to, you know, move up a Pheromosa or something that just has a 1 retreat cost, retreating back to the bench, Buzzwole can attack again. So you can fire off multiple Buzzwole attacks. Really, really cool. Now, let's take a look at some of this stuff. Beast Wall. So this is really interesting. There was some point manipulation a little bit more through the items and trainers than there was with the actual Pokemon. You know, the Pokemon had no point-based things, but the Ultra Beasts have a lot of tools here to make them really good. You can use this card only if your opponent hasn't gotten any points. During your opponent's next turn, all of your Ultra Beasts take -20 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. Now, Beast Wall. There's nothing here saying you can't use double Beast Wall. So you can use 2 Beast Wall if you've got them. Mitigate your opponent's damage by 40. It's pretty cool. Whether or not we have the deck space for it. Again, oh gosh, this is all making like Guzzlord 18 trainers sound so scary, dude. Like, oh, it sounds so scary and frightening. Please don't play the deck. Please. Please. I don't care if it's good. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't do it, man. It's evil. It's evil. It's an evil deck. It is, you know, it's something you'll have to get in the early game. You won't, as soon as your opponent takes a point, this card becomes useless. But -20 is a pretty big damage reduction. It's a pretty big damage reduction. What else is there to say? Well, we'll have to just test and see if it makes the cut. Repel. Dude. Sabrina for basics on an item card, depending on what the meta looks like. Well, no matter what, it's a really annoying card. I don't know if you guys have played the game for long enough. You've been trolled by your opponent going first turn, you know, you're trying to play around red card. So you put down 2 basics, you know, you put the Pokemon you want in the active spot, and then your other basic, just so if your opponent goes turn 1 red card, you don't lose it. You've then been punished by your opponent not having turn 1 red card, but having turn 1 Sabrina. And now the Pokemon you don't want in the active spot is in the active spot, and you're like, dude, now I gotta retreat this thing, I gotta wait a turn before I can do anything. Like, this sucks. And being able to do that with just an item card is pretty funny. It is, you know, is this going to make the deck space? Maybe for some decks. For some decks that can afford it. Decks were already, like, not playing Sabrina because they just didn't have the space for it. Just opting for a Cyrus instead. Deck space is getting tight. We're getting powerful trainers every single set. We're now on, you know, stage 2 stuff with rare candies. Deck spaces are really, really tight right now. So whether or not Repel actually gets to make it into any deck that isn't Darkrai Giratina, that already has the space to afford it, we'll have to wait and see. But you know, just blank. It's a pretty powerful effect for an item card. It's the first gust we've ever seen on an item card, right? You could only ever do this with Sabrina or Cyrus or Lana. If you have Araquanid, no one did that. Maybe a couple of you guys did that in Great Ball Tier, and it was funny, but us Master Ball players, we never even put that Lana card into a deck. Electrical Cord, we already talked about. Really good for lightning Pokemon. Beastite, we already talked about. Gladion. Whoa, Savali support. Run random type Null or Savali from your deck into your hand. So you'll be able to get the guy going up pretty quick. And, you know, actually, I mean, I was gonna say, you could start type Null, attach to him, use Gladion. Now you're doing 100 damage right out the gate with Savali. Maybe that's something. Maybe that quick 100 for 2 is something, but I don't really know that it is. I don't really know that it is. Looker? Bro, this is so interesting. So, this is never a card that will be used in tournament because most tournaments are open deck sheets. You just get to look at your opponent's deck before you even start playing, so you know everything that's going on, and it allows your opponent, you know, not to be able to cheat and make random deck changes. Your opponent reveals all the supporter cards in their deck. Are we really using a deck space on this? I mean, probably not, right? It does on the ladder. There are a lot of games where you're like, if my opponent's playing this supporter, I lose. If they're not playing this supporter, I win. But it's hard to even play around that, right? You kind of get forced down one route of play anyways, so that it doesn't really matter. Like it's still just kind of, this is the play I have to make. If my opponent has it in their deck, they can win this game. If they don't, I can win this game. It's very rare that it comes up where you're at a crossroads of, if my opponent has this supporter, I will make this play. If they have this supporter, I would make this play. It's pretty rare. I don't know that it's worth the one card inclusion. Maybe if like Silvali just wants more supporters, you would run a Looker, but there's so many other supporters that you'd rather play over Looker. It's an interesting one, but I don't know. And then Lucamine, we talked about it. We alluded to it. If your opponent has gotten 1 point, you can choose an Ultra Beast and attach 2 random energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. Ridiculously powerful supporter. And then we have all of these. Dude, all like, bro, thank you for actually giving us a good shiny. This is so sick, dude. Shiny Greninja with the shiny Frogadier and the shiny Froakie. It's like, dude, oh my gosh. It's so good. Oh my, I love it. You guys know Greninja is like one of my favorite cards in this game. Maybe my favorite card in this game. And to be able to have these shiny versions, finally a useful shiny. These other guys, like, what was the point? There's only one crown rare, and it's a Nihilego. Interesting. I'm surprised they wouldn't pick, like, a trainer card or something. It's just Nihilego. Weird. This immersive Buzzwole looks sick. By the way, this is probably, honestly, probably the coolest immersive I've seen. This guy looks awesome. I'm so excited to play Buzzwole. I'm so excited to get on and play Buzzwole. But that is going to be it for the set. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I think we have some really, really cool cards, some cool things to consider. Super excited. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.